Hey guys, good morning. I'm coming to you from my garden today, and I just wanted to show you a bit of what I've got planted this year. When we first moved into this house, there wasn't a lot of landscaping. So we had basically a hedge of bushes, one really overgrown holly bush, a few lilies, and a couple hostas. So we've really spent some time filling in the beds. So I thought I'd share what I've got planted in the beds this year. Let's go see. So over here, we're starting at the beginning, the entrance of the flower bed. This was here. We had just some Stella d'Oro lilies. There were a lot more here, of course, because they proliferate easily. So I have actually spread those out a lot around our place since we first came. And then just the hedge of bushes along here. Now we have added everything else in front of here. So over here we've got a bunch of heuchera that we have put in kind of as a backdrop. And then, so last year we just did heuchera and some coleus, and I really didn't put a flower border or anything. So, and that was pretty good, but I just wanted to do some more color this year. So we definitely got color. I've got some green leaf pink begonias. These guys really are made for part shade, but I don't know, when I was getting them, I wanted green leaf, and I totally forgot that I needed to get the darker leaf, which would be better for the sun, but they're holding their own, so they're doing pretty well. Some of them have gotten a little bit sunburnt, but overall they're doing really well. Down here especially, they're really happy. And then behind those, I have salvia. This is Victoria Blue Salvia. And now these guys, I got these all in flats, and they were little tiny when I first put them in, and they have just really taken off. Now we've had a ton of rain this season, so they have just loved it, and they have really spread out and taken off. And then here in the very front, I've got this blue lobelia, and they just have the prettiest little, most delicate flowers. And I know it's a lot of blue. I wasn't planning on putting these, but it was cheaper to buy more flowers because I could get them in a flat that way. So I, of course, got more flowers. And I think they look really nice with the pink and then another layer, kind of a different hue of that blue behind them. So it looks really good. And then I just wanted to cover up the mulch. We haven't mulched this year. I don't know if we'll get to that or not this year, but I just wanted to cover it up with plants. So that was my goal. I ended up planting 92 plants this year. That's just the annuals. So really wanted to fill it in. And then we added this tree, I think it's been a couple years ago now. This is a weeping cherry. It hasn't grown a whole lot, so I don't think it loves it in this spot. And this branch, it's not very weepy. I keep thinking, well, once it gets some length and weight on it, it's going to go ahead and hang and look nice, but it just hasn't. So I may end up weighting it myself or tying it a bit to encourage it to grow in a little bit more controlled manner. So anyway, but he looks pretty happy. It's been eaten a bit by the Japanese beetles, which we have terribly this year, but it's holding its own. So pretty much I just repeat as we're coming up the walkway. Oh, there's a worm. And so here's some of the lilies. These were not here. These are from that first patch that I showed you. So I have just spread the lilies out just to intersperse some big, color and interest in here. Lilies are so nice to be able to do that with, because then it's very inexpensive. If you just have a bunch of lilies, you can just keep splitting them every year. So it's a really good way to save money when you're trying to fill in your landscaping. So just continuing on up here, I've just kind of repeated this pattern with the begonias, and then these are a different variety of heuchera. I can't remember what these are. I'll try to look them up and put it on there for you. And then back here, now the first year we were here, we put in these Big Daddy hydrangeas, or hydrangeas as I like to call them. And they are, as you can see, humongous. And they haven't flowered yet. They're kind of late to flower this year, it seems like. Well, I always think they're late to flower. Maybe I just forget and I get impatient, but they haven't flowered this year yet. I hope they're going to. We actually had a really hard freeze late in the spring after a really mild winter. So I lost a ton of plants. I lost all my lavender And these guys died way back, so I wasn't even sure what they were going to do, but they have just exploded with leaves, but I haven't seen any sign of blooms yet, so not sure how long that's going to take. And these get a little bit wilty in the sun, but they do pretty well. And then I just usually, give them a bit of water and they perk right back up. And then this year I added some purple coneflower or echinacea. So just wanted to add another variety of purple to the area, give it a little bit of interest. And these are just another really awesome one that are perennials. They come back every year. They're great for pollinators, and they also are really easy to split, and you can put them in all areas of your garden, and they just bloom all summer long. So they're a really good one to add color and to be able to have a frugal garden without having to keep buying new plants all the time. All right, so you can just see that we've continued here. I just really wanted to fill in with a lot of that salvia. I've never actually grown salvia. Well, I guess I have, because it's sage, but this isn't the culinary sage. So technically salvia is also sage, but it's just for the flowering variety. I really like the look of lavender. I was kind of going for like a French cottage garden feel, but I've had a struggle with lavender in this area. I think it's because we have such heavy clay soil, and lavender really likes to be in good draining soil, not stay wet, not keep its feet wet, they say. So I think the lavender struggles a bit in our area. So I was going for the salvia to have that lavender look, but not struggle maybe so much. Of course, I have a nandina here. That was not here, but it was part of the house when we bought it. It was just in a different location. So I've just kind of interspersed. I actually don't know what to do with this. He keeps traveling around. Probably why he stays small, because I keep moving him. And then another big daddy hydrangea up here. Got a little hosta here. And that's another one I keep moving around and rearranging. Hostas are another really great plant that you can split and spread out through your garden. Another really great frugal plant to have in your garden that gives some really pretty interest, and you don't have to keep buying it, although there are a lot of really gorgeous varieties, so it's fun to buy different colors. So this is, honestly, I don't remember if this was a blue spruce. Can't remember. I will try to look that up. He doesn't look too good. I've moved this one a few times as well. I originally got it to be between some hydrangeas over on the other side, but it just didn't like it over there. So I've kind of moved it to different places to see if we can find a good spot for it. Now right here when we moved in was a huge overgrown holly bush, and it did not look healthy. It had like a lot of black fungus on it, a lot of spider mites. So we ended up just chopping it down, and I've been just kind of trying to fill in. And of course we didn't have a lot of plants at that point in the first place, so that really made another big hole. So we've just been little by little filling in throughout here each year. All right, trying not to step on things, but we've got a sedum here. This was not here, this was in the backyard, and I brought it out front, and it's a really pretty kind of pink, rusty orange color when it blooms. And then down here we've got a lemon coral sedum. That one's really little. It's actually a little piece that broke off. If you look over at these bigger ones, it broke off of one of these, and so did this one. So I just put them in some water to help them propagate, and they got roots, and I just put them out here to fill in. So moving on up, just some more lilies. And these were blooming beautifully earlier. They're done now, but they'll come back and bloom again, probably in a few weeks. And just another cluster of heuchera. And then back here, I just put this one in this year. This is a coral knockout rose. Just really like this because it has a bit of that orangey pink. So it comes out when it first blooms. It's a really pretty, like dark pinkish orange, kind of has even a yellow tinge to it. And then as it gets bigger, it fades out to a pretty orangey, lighter pink. So those are really just interesting to add a pop of color. And then I've got a little English lavender here. Now this one is a super blue English lavender. And it's actually looking really good. I think it likes it here. I do not water those usually because they don't like to be overwatered, but I did learn my lesson that you do have to water them some. I had read that they like kind of desert conditions, so you don't even have to water them. I tried that the first year and it just died. So you do have to water it, just not that often. We've been getting a lot of rain, so I really haven't even watered it at all this year, and it's just really taken off. And then I just potted up. I don't even know what this one is. There were a bunch of plants that came together in a tray, just a variety. I actually got them at Walmart. And it had like the Dusty Miller, these blue lobelia, not sure what that guy is. And then I got this bullseye salmon geranium, which these are looking a little peaked, but they are a really pretty bloom when they're fresh as well. And I like the geraniums because they're good to help repel pests as well, like the mosquitoes, and I think they're even toxic to Japanese beetles, so trying to get rid of those guys as well. So now we're gonna head on over to the other side of the sidewalk, which is shade in the morning, so it's gonna look a lot different than over here in the morning, which is in full sun. So I've got another knockout rose. This one we put in, I can't remember if it was the first or the second year we were here, and it looks pretty terrible. So this one has become kind of a trap crop for the Japanese beetles. They have not discovered the other rose I put in over here, and I hope they don't, but anyway, this one has taken a beating this year. I'm thinking I'll probably just cut it all back and maybe spray it with some homemade rose spray that I found a recipe for that I'm trying this year to see how I like it, and see if I can kind of nurse it back. These guys are pretty tough, these knockout roses. So I think if I cut it back, it might be okay. It also had some really bad spider mites when we first put it in, which, you know, this soil, I guess, had a bunch of spider mites. So we have struggled with that, as well as some fungal issues here. So, and it's so humid here anyway, it's a battle with all the disease and pests. And then I don't use any like pesticides, herbicides, any of that kind of thing. So just trying to find things that work and that are actually potent enough for this area, with it being so hot and humid all the time in the summer and rainy, but that are still really effective. So then I've just got another English lavender, which he's not as happy as my other one. Looks like it's about to bloom a little bit again. It had a lot of blooms when I first put it in and did well, and then it got finished with that flush, and it looks like it's gonna do it again. This Nandina, which we totally rearranged over here. This side only had a couple of little tiny hostas and a Nandina or two, I think, when we first came. So I've just rearranged, moved this Nandina here. This is a humongous chive. I think it's a garlic chive. It's a little overgrown, in my opinion, but it adds some interest and some color, and it helps to repel pests as well. So just kind of leave that there. It does bloom some, which is pretty as well. And a little tiny heuchera tucked in down here. I don't know, he doesn't seem like he particularly likes it, so I'll probably end up moving that, but trying to just add a bit more color to this area as well. And then I've got an elephant ear. My mom brought me a bunch of elephant ear bulbs, so I just kind of tucked these in different places to add a bit of interest and a little pop of, I don't know, unusual, because it just seems like I've kind of got the English or French, maybe cottage garden thing going on, and this just seems like a bit of juxtaposition. So it was kind of fun to add that in here, and it seems to be doing pretty well. Some more of that sedum like I had on the other side, and it looks like it's getting ready to bloom, which I'm kind of surprised, because in the backyard where I had it, they didn't bloom until the fall. So I'm anxious to see what these guys do out here. It seems like it really likes it. Now this is another hydrangea. This is an endless summer hydrangea. And again, it got hit hard with the late freeze that we had, but it's looking really good this year. Doesn't look like it's been eaten by a ton of bugs, which is kind of surprising. So I'm hoping these guys will bloom soon. And then I've got More English lavender down in front. Another huge lemon coral sedum, which really seems to like it here. Just another hosta with the variegated leaves. And then over here, I used to have another endless summer hydrangea, but what happened was when we first moved in, there was actually a big maple tree over here on the west side, which blocked a lot of sun. So this whole thing was a shade garden like all day long. Well, then we had big tornadoes blow through and our tree was taken down. So once that was gone, which was the very first spring we were here, but after I had already planted in this shade garden, this got just beaten with afternoon sun. So I used to have an endless summer hydrangea here, but it just could not handle that afternoon heat. Now I've left the other one because it doesn't get quite as much sun, and it does okay. It gets really wilty in the afternoon. But then I ended up taking out one of the hydrangeas and putting it somewhere else and putting in this limelight hydrangea, which as you can see, absolutely loves it here. It's kind of looking leggy. I've already trimmed it back once this year, but it is just exploding and it has the coolest blooms. They come out this pretty green color and then they actually go all the way white and then they fade out to a really pretty pink. So this is a really interesting, I really love these blooms. So I may end up moving that other endless summer hydrangea and putting in another limelight, but we'll see. And then just ending off over here, I've got some lilies, which you can't see because the hydrangea is kind of taking over. And then these were just some petunias that came in that variegated tray with a bunch of plants. I don't even know what variety these are. So I just threw these over here to add a bit more filler and a few more salvia, Victoria blue. This cute little fern came up volunteer and I'm keeping my eye on it because this gets so hot in the afternoon that I'm not sure how long that's gonna be happy here this summer. I may end up trying to put that back in an all-day shade spot. So I'm keeping an eye on him. And then this is an ebony and ivory crepe myrtle. And it has not done great here. I've had this one for, I think this is the third season now. But you can see it's got a little bit of trouble with powdery mildew. The Japanese beetles, there they are now. Absolutely love these leaves. So this has been a struggle. This plant hasn't really taken off as I hoped it would. I put this in after the maple tree was taken down, thinking this could get big and offer some shade over here to those hydrangeas, but it just hasn't really done that. So when this blooms, they're kind of a white with a pink ruffle border on the blooms, so it's really a cool looking plant, but it just hasn't taken off like I hoped it would. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for joining me in a tour of my front flower garden. I've really enjoyed seeing the evolution of things filling in through here, and I always like to change things up. So I'll keep you posted on how things progress. And if you like this video, be sure to go check out more of what we've got, and I'll see you next time.